guys? Wanna Be Reckless, aka Wanna Be Caster, one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS recap where we're going to be breaking down everything that went down over the last week or so within the Halo competitive universe, and we're going to focus mainly on the Scrim results that have been going down, because it's been a little quiet when it comes to like the roster media and the drama, which isn't always a bad thing. However, we do got to break down some of these scrims that went down again over the last few days or last week. We'll jump right into. We'll start off with Shopify Rebellion and Envy going at it after 13 games. Shopify Rebellion only able to take 8 over Envy. We've been talking about Envy for quite some time. I've been loving the squad since they came together all the way since that major qualifier right before Dallas? No, Dallas. Right before Dallas. Sorry about that. And I've been loving this roster. Been big on a Descendant, Piggy, Precision, and Jackson. In case you guys don't remember, Piggy and Jackson are part of that Luminosity roster. Precision was dropped from Complexity, and then eventually Descendant leaving that roster with Lethal and Collect in order to join the crew, and this team has just been that good, even going toe-to-toe with Shopify Rebellion, also pulling off some upsets in pool play back at Dallas. Envy were just that good. Shopify Rebellion a little bit better, but I think normally you like to see a little bit of a larger swing going in Shopify Rebellion's way, considering most people have them as top 2 in the entire world. Next up, we'll talk about Optic Gaming absolutely dominating FaZe Clan. The new FaZe Clan has looked good, and I would say even better than the new SSG roster in the early season, or I guess the early iterations of both of those rosters. But Optic Gaming pull off the 11-3. Majorly outslaying the crew, which is to be expected. And although, you know, I feel like you got to root for the underdogs between Lucid, Penguin, and Trippy, formerly of that Optic Gaming roster, and then what they call it, like Hurricane Piper came through, but eventually it was Hurricane Piper that dropped 243 kills and 75,000 of damage onto FaZe right there. A good win in favor of Optic Gaming. Ether game with the 12-1 over Ascending Baseline. Ascending Baseline have a new crew where they've brought on Suspector and Super CC Evades, former professional players. Suspector was a part of that E-United roster back with YNOT. Remember that Super CC has been featured on many different rosters, and same for Suspector as well. But I remember being back in Fnatic back in season 1 as well. And meanwhile, it's not loading. Sorry about that, guys. Not sure why. Hopefully our Cloud9. And okay, so actually just not going to load at all, but it's all good. Cloud9 and Complexity, the new look Complexity roster, we're stealing away Ryan Noob and King Nick to be brought on, have been looking really good against Cloud9, who made a bit of changes themselves. Cloud9 eventually brought over Advocacy at one point in time, and they've been looking pretty good since then. Cloud9 11-7 over Complexity, kinda huge for Cloud9. Meanwhile, FaZe versus Envy, another scrim where Envy are able to do pretty decent, taking 4 of 11 out of off of FaZe is not bad whatsoever. Obviously, you'd love to see Envy win some of these scrims, but the fact that they're able to go toe-to-toe and keep it close with our big, you know, what do you want to call it, big 3, big 4, whatever you want to call it, some of the top teams in the world is absolutely huge, and shows you that Envy are not just a honeymoon phase type of team. Zero Tenacity pull off a 14-0 win against the number 3 team in the EU. Meanwhile, Shopify Rebellion 13-3 over that new look Complexity roster. We've been keeping our eye out on that new look Complexity roster, especially because they beat SSG 7-3 early in the iteration of that SSG roster, but Shopify Rebellion pull off a major stomping. Meanwhile, Cloud9, dude, I wish I want to pull it up. There we go. Pull it up. There we go. The new Cloud9, ever since bringing Collect onto the roster to join Advocacy as the 2 newest members, Cloud9 have just been looking different. And 7-6 over TSM. TSM Mind you, have a top 2 seed going into SOC right now, courtesy to some movement between SSG and FaZe, obviously, but still, TSM are the real deal. They commanded a lot of respect, and Cloud9 have just been moving a bit better recently. How we want this Cloud9 roster to look all along, how they looked early in 2025 when they looked like they were ready to upset a bunch of teams. They beat out Complexity, they beat out TSM, and now we're going to start keeping our eyes out on them. Meanwhile, Ether Gaming with the 9-6 over Unreal Nightmare. Ether Gaming made a big change in bringing on Noble to the starting roster for Ether Gaming, swapping out players on the number 1 team in Mexico right now, even though they, mind you, they didn't make it out of open bracket back at Dallas, worth mentioning. Unreal Nightmare, I've been liking the way they've been moving Envor, Haynes, and Common back together. And then you have the young gun Ezo, who also played with Envor quite a bit when he first kind of broke on to the top amateur competitive scene. Ezo's been very good. Shopify Bun 13-1 over the new look FaZe roster. Man, keep talking about how good that FaZe roster looked, but when going up against Optic and Shopify Rebellion, there seems to be a bit of a gap there, maybe wider than what I had originally thought, because right now in scrims, they haven't been able to really go toe-to-toe with them, at least not yet. Omid over Ether Gaming, big on Omid. I mean, the fact that Ether Gaming have been, winning scrims against Unreal Nightmare, they've been looking good. A dominant scrim over Sunday baseline. They've been slowly starting to move in the direction that they want to move. For Omid to come out and take 7 out of 10 games, I think is good for them and their confidence. Omid, it's a roster that kind of seemed thrown together out of nowhere. They got 3/4 of that original Complexity roster, which didn't work out the way they wanted to with precision. Now you bring in Lethal, which there was already seemed to be some friction between Lethal and Sparty in the past, but they're making it work. And I think a 7-3 over Ether Gaming as we're closer to SOC is a really good look for Omid. Meanwhile, Optic are just 13-1 and everybody in their path. We see another 13-1, similar to what Shopify Rebellion did to FaZe, Optic due to TSM. And then the headliner here, which just happened last night. What the freaking heck happened here? Cloud9. 11-6 over Space Station Gaming. Cloud9, we gotta keep our eyes out on them once again. Dude, 11-6. Space Station Gaming, who obviously have not looked perfect since bringing on Suppressed and Falcated, which you guys already know. I'm a huge fan of Falcated, a huge fan of Suppressed. Stellar and Eco have already proven to be champion level players, world champion level players. So I just assume that this team was just going to work, especially because this was the team that they wanted. This was the pace that they wanted to play, the type of Halo that Eco and Stellar, the formula that they talked about that they wanted to play. They haven't looked as good as we wanted them to look throughout the early days, and Cloud9 even pulling off a major upset. 11 out of 17 ain't luck. It's Cloud9 showing that they look good with Collect. I don't know if that roster move is official because I haven't seen any graphic, I haven't seen any tweets, but man, give them the contract, give them a raise, give them whatever it is you need, because Cloud9 started off 2025 looking extremely good. They slowed down dramatically, even though they had some good feats throughout the LAN season. They still slowed down dramatically, but since bringing on Collect onto this roster, they have been moving different, and I've been loving every last bit of it. Watch out for Cloud9 as we get closer and closer to SOC, because they really are looking like the real deal, and this is looking like the end of our HCS recap. Guys, if you're watching on Twitch, hey, I love you. I appreciate y'all. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Interact with the algorithm so that it pushes out to more people that might enjoy this type of content. And a huge shout out to Aneba for sponsoring this month's stream. Why pay full price for your gaming needs, guys? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Make sure you guys are using Aneba and use my link down below. If you don't see Why Not Be Casted at the top, that means you ain't using my link. And if every time you click on that link, you're supporting your boy, so why not support your boy the same way Aneba supports you, whether it's the latest and greatest. I actually just purchased Rematch myself. I purchased it for $20 and got almost $3 cash back with that purchase. But it's latest greatest like Rematch, or even some of the classics like Halo MCC add-ons, whether it's the Razor Gold, V-Bucks, or even Halo Infinite credits as well. No matter what is you are looking for, Aneba has something for you. Stop paying full price for your gaming needs and start getting more value out of your dollar. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Deuces.